Hey, I'm Corwin, and today I'm going to cheap out and not spend $100 on an idler pulley bracket, and instead put my very expensive education to good use and make one instead. I've never used SendCutSend. They sponsor a lot of channels that I follow. I get their ads all the time. So I figured, hey, this is a perfect opportunity to give them a shot, see if they're really as good as everybody says they are, and hopefully we can knock this out. So this belt is still too loose, and the only bracket I can find online is brand new. The cheapest one, including shipping, is like $75. I don't know, it's a little rich for my blood. I would just go to Home Depot, buy some stock and make it myself, but it seems like a good opportunity and the perfect application to use SendCutSend and test it out. So most of this video is probably gonna be on the computer. So if you're not into that, you can kind of skip ahead. I'll put, a time code down below so you can see the finished result. But if you're curious on my process and how I went about making these brackets, feel free to watch along, and hopefully, it'll work out and you'll learn something and I'll learn something too. Just so we're all on the same page, right there is where a smog pump would typically go if this car had one. But there's a delete that holds an idler pulley that kind of pulls this belt up a little, adds a little tension to it so that here the tensioner doesn't sit quite so far down. This is acceptable, but I'm gonna add it just to eat up a little bit of this slack. Okay, so slightly different view here. This is my day-to-day working spot. Hopefully this will give you some indication of like my workflow and how I would go about doing this. So on SendCutSend's website, you can see here, they accept DXF, DWG, AI, and EPS. I'm unfamiliar with these first two. I'm guessing those are CAD file types. These last two are vector, and AI is an Illustrator file, which I am extremely familiar with. So that's how I'm going to build this part. I'm sure a lot of guys use SketchUp or any other paid CAD program, and that'll work great too. But this is what I'm most comfortable with, so that's how I'm gonna do it. So going back to the video I posted about this, I'm just gonna grab this part number, come over here, because I want to find, I wanna find a good reference. So this shot here looks like it's pretty much straight on, and that's what we'll need. So let me just go here. I don't trust the perspective on this. Okay, good. They've got a view of the back. So I'm just gonna copy this image, throw it in, and that's huge. But in order to get my scale right, what I'm gonna do is just make a 3/8 circle. So I just clicked, and then you can input those values however you want it. And now I know when I scale this down that I want that circle to be 3/8 of an inch. So then that's pretty close. I'm just gonna reduce the opacity on this so I can really see what I'm doing. And then that looks pretty good. All right, now I'm gonna drag a copy of it over here, and okay, so that's our first issue. The photograph is, obviously it's not perfectly straight. You can see these holes aren't exactly lined up. So I'm just gonna select the image, go over to the rotate tool, click on the center of that circle, and then just pull it down. And now we've got a more or less straight plane for these two holes. And then I'm just gonna hold Alt and click and drag this one up into its position. This hole doesn't matter quite as much as these two. And I'm gonna go back in the garage and double check those measurements here in a minute. So for now, I'm going to turn this off. So now we've got our hole locations. And what I'm gonna do to make the perimeter of this part is to grab the pin tool, click in the center of each of these, like that. And then I'm just going to add a stroke. So over here in this palette, make sure I've got my stroke selected, make sure, give it a color. And then 72 points equals 1 inch, which is basically what I want, but obviously this looks like crap. So just switch the corners to round. And then what I'm gonna do is send this to the back so I can grab these circles, make them white, and now we've got our part. The thing is, it's backwards to how it would go in the car. So I'm just gonna grab this. I'm actually gonna make a group with Control or Command G, and then reflect across the axis. And there we go. Now we've got a perfectly good bracket that I can bolt that to. One thing I do want to do, I'm just gonna grab the rectangle tool. This height here, 5.7948. So I'm gonna go double check the measurements between these 2 points and then make sure we're good to go. Okay, so thanks to my wonderful wife, who I love so much, I have this very nice pile of Target and Amazon boxes to pull from. I just grabbed a strip of it, kind of stuck it down here, and then traced out the circles so I can get a super accurate measurement. And if I line this up, it's like 5 and not gonna focus, but it's like 5.5 and then like 9 30-seconds. So like 25-30 seconds. So I can do that math, that's no problem. But anyway, good way to double check. I'll go look at the computer and make sure we're good to go. Okay, so I need to shrink this just a little bit. 5.65. That'll get us really, really close. So then what you can do is grab this circle, just pull it down till it intersects, and then make sure you have your triangle selected, and you can do the same thing. Boop. Okay, right like that. And now we've got our part. It's ready to go. But I want to put a little adjustability into this piece since I'm not 100% sure of the amount of tension I'll need from this idler pulley. So I'm just gonna drag out a copy. I'm gonna grab this circle, holding Shift, and click on this guy. And I'm going to Command C, Command Shift V to paste in place. And then I'm just gonna reflect it across the vertical axis. And then holding Shift, I'm just gonna drag it across until it snaps into place. So that should be perfectly aligned, and then Command Shift and then left bracket, I'm just gonna send it to the very back. Okay, look at that. So I'm actually, I was wrong, I don't need that one. What I'm gonna do is grab this guy, and then holding Alt to create a copy, I'm gonna click and drag, and then holding Shift will keep it perfectly in line. And I'm just gonna go till it snaps, select both of them. Yeah, right like this. Okay, and then I need one more. Yep. All right, and then I'm just gonna delete every other one, and there we go. This is where it is originally, but if I wanna move it inboard, I can, and that should be pretty good. Okay, so clearly this is the first time I've ever done anything like this because I lost the entire back half of that recording. So quickly, I'll just take you through kind of the website and what I ended up doing. So here on the homepage, get started, you can see I've already uploaded this file, but all you have to do is just drag it and drop it. When you add this in, you can actually go through and select your material. So there's like a bunch of stuff in here, aluminum, brass, stainless. I ended up just going with this T6 aluminum, says it's strong and light, and then just 1/4 inch thick. You can see the more you order, the cheaper it gets, which of course is always nice. And then once you select that, you can go through and countersink your holes, bend it. You can add hardware, you can tap the holes, anything related to your part, which is pretty cool. And then if I go back and review, here we go, orders, track order, you can see it's already been processed and prepped and it's being produced. So we'll pick back up whenever this shows up in the mail. Okay, we got it. A happy day. This is still unopened. I have not seen this yet, so Here we go. I got a sticker. Invoice. Gross. They put some Sour Patch Kids in here, but it's so hot here in Texas that they're like all melted together. So, all right. But check. Oh man, look at that. That is so nice. It's like vacuum formed to this piece of cardboard. I don't want to scratch up my parts, but I gotta try to get them out of this plastic. Oh my god. Okay, well the packaging is honestly incredible. But look at this. This is so nice. This is really nice. So I've got both options here of which one I want to use. Or I could put them together and have a little extra strength if I wanted to do that too. So yeah, this is really nice. So let's get it on the car and see how it looks. Okay, good morning. I ran into a little bit of a problem here through no fault of SendCutSend's, but this idler pulley that I bought, the bearing in the middle, it's a little big for these 3/8 bolts. They just kind of go right through. So I ended up having to buy some 14 mil pipe, which fits perfectly into that bearing. The problem is the hole in the pipe is a little too small, so I just need to drill it out, cut it off, and then I can finally mount this up. So once again, this is my own fault, nobody else's, which is pretty typical for stuff around here. So always look before you I don't know, I have no wisdom. Just don't be a dumbass. Okay, tensioned belt, proof of concept. Looks pretty good. Provides just that little bit of flex there. And yeah, I don't hate it. So this particular project, completely unrelated to SendCutSend, feels like it's been about snake bit at every turn. Turns out this belt is too short. The routing right now, I routed it the wrong way to see if this solution was gonna work, and it does. But if I route it the right way, the belt's too short by about 3 or 4 inches. So I gotta order a new one of those. No big deal, I can get that. But really happy with how the actual parts turned out. Like, I didn't end up using this piece, which is fine, but just the quality of the craftsmanship on it, like, it looks so good. Obviously, things I would do differently in the future. I should have slotted these 2 vertical holes because my measurements weren't exactly right, so I had to do a little modification. Again, that's no fault of SendCutSend at all. That's my own idiocy and rush to get things done. I should have triple checked that. But yeah, this is, I mean, their services are incredible, and for the price, it's really hard to beat. So would definitely recommend it to anybody, as long as the biggest issue I can see is just user error, which is, honestly, it's usually my problem. So anyway, hopefully that gave somebody some insight and took some of the mystery out of it. So until next time,